Wow, instead of one Gemini killer, we get two!
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the best toopy of them all?
Well, at least we got one to spare.
Oh, this is stupid. God.
Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today. This one's going to be doing a review for Dexter Resurrection. And in today's video, we're going to be doing our next review for this week's episode of Dexter Resurrection. We're in the second half of Season 1 now. Season 1, Episode 6, Cats and Mouse. Which is never usually spelled that way. Usually it's cat and mouse, but this is a game of cats and mouse. So if you have not seen this episode yet, I would definitely advise you to go watch it. We had one of the funniest twists I've ever seen at the end of this episode, one that I honestly still can't even get over. But this episode, man, listen, I'm just gonna be real. There's things I liked here in this episode, but there's also things I didn't like, okay? I'm a little mixed on this week's episode of Dexter Resurrection. I've really enjoyed this season so far. I've really enjoyed every episode, basically. This was the first episode I remember kind of sitting there saying, alright, look, it's not bad, but it's also not great either. It was kind of middle ground for me. This episode kind of played off kind of weird a little bit. It was like there was things I liked and then there were things I didn't like. So we're going to go into everything there. We're going to go into kind of my full-on thoughts and why I believe that this has definitely been the weakest episode of Dexter Resurrection so far. So let's go into that now. So this episode's main concept is basically we have Blessing's mother that is dead, basically. She has passed away of old age. And it sounds like, obviously, the way that went down kind of affected the family. And for the first, 15, 20 minutes or so, we kind of focus on that. We've got Dexter putting on, a tie and stuff like that. Same with Harrison. We get kind of like a Season 3 callback, which I did catch. That was pretty cool. And then we're kind of at this, funeral for about 15, 20 minutes. I felt like they kind of had it go on a little long, but, it was still good. I understand why they did it for sure, but it felt like we could have started moving a little bit quicker. You know what I mean? But we got that, and then basically we've got Claudette and that other officer that are basically interviewing the guy that was, hung up by Mia. And we don't actually see anything of Mia this episode, which I was pretty surprised. They're basically talking to this guy, they're interviewing him, they're getting info out of him, and then Batista shows up and talks about Dexter, which this was the first scene in the episode. I was like, all right, shoot, here we go, We've got Batista that comes in, and basically he's kind of talking about the Bay Harbor Butcher, and she's like, oh yeah, James Dokes, and he's like, not necessarily. Another worker, a spatter, analyst at Miami Metro, Dexter Morgan, and she's like, listen, I'm sorry, Batista, but we really don't have any time for that, and he's like, his son's name is Harrison Morgan. She's like, I know Harrison Morgan, And then it's like, shit. And then he's like, I believe that he's following in his father's footsteps, and he killed that Ryan guy at the hotel. So now that just sparks her, whole thing right then and there. So that's what we get there. And, well, then we get into one of the flaws I've honestly had with the last few episodes. Batista just doesn't do anything else this whole episode. I'm not even kidding. He does that. He's got that one big scene, and then he doesn't do anything else. I'm honestly getting really annoyed that every episode, Batista's there, and you're like, oh my god, we got Batista in this episode, that's awesome. And then we don't see him through the whole rest of the fucking episode. I thought one of the main things about this season was going to be Batista hunting Dexter down. Why are we only getting, one scene of him, in each episode? It's weird. It's honestly starting to become really apparent to me that they just don't know how to, pace the story with Batista this season, because he's in one scene and then you don't see him until the very, very end. It's really odd. So I don't know. I found that kind of strange. You've also got Prater in this episode that's kind of trying to round everybody up, right? Obviously after the whole Mia situation. And, well, basically the main mission of this episode is you've got Dexter, right? And this Gemini killer that he's trying to do research on. He kind of follows him into this library and stuff. He puts on this suit, you know what I mean? And, you got Gemini that's kind of like this cocky son of a bitch, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I'm the number one. Dexter, you might be number two, but, I'm number one, you know what I mean? And he's kind of like this cocky guy, you know what I mean? And, well, you kind of get this situation where Dexter's gonna, obviously poison the drink, and they give it to him, but then he doesn't believe it, so he makes Dexter switch the drinks out, but Dexter really tricks him and then knocks him out. And then Dexter just kind of puts him on this thing and then kills him. I was like, oh, like what? Okay. Very anticlimactic. I mean, I remember even back when this season was filming, it was like, oh my god, the Gemini killer. Oh my god, it's like, no, one episode of Substance, barely. I mean, we barely even found out anything about him. He just dies. Like, there's no plastic wrap, there's no nothing. It's just a quick. Okay. I remember when it happened, I was just kind of sitting there like, motherfucker, what? Like, I didn't understand it at all. So anyway, Gemini goes down. Seriously overhyped villain. That's the best thing I can say. What the hell is going on? Like, why is he just? That's it, really? Like, it was so strange. Well, but don't worry though. Don't worry. It's not over. Apparently, it's not over for Gemini. But anyway. You got Blessing that comes in. He tells this story to Dexter about him being in the army and stuff like that. And it was, a good story. Went on a little long, but it was a good story. This episode had a lot of slow, draggy dialogue, which is unlike Dexter usually. They usually kind of just get right to it, you know what I mean? I don't know if it was like a different writer this episode. I think it was. I remember seeing it somewhere, but you can kind of feel it. I'm not going to lie, in comparison to the first 5 episodes. Like, it was slow, like really slow, like not good slow either. Like to a point where I was like, all right, next scene, please. Like, damn, So I don't know, very strange. And then you got more Claudette, and I'm like, listen, Claudette's a cool character, but I don't need her taking up the whole fucking season. Like, you know what I mean? I want to see more Batista. You know what I'm saying? I want to see more of him. And then you got Gemini Killer that's just dead now. I'm like, eh. You got this, like, fake tension moment where Blessing kind of walks in and, like, he's about to open the shower curtain, and we all kind of could tell. I was like, he's not gonna find him, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that was obvious, But anyway, yeah, so the episode just started to go really strange. Like, you got, like, a few Charlie scenes, which, again, I like Charlie, but I'm starting to notice something really wrong with this season. Batista and Charlie only show up for a couple scenes, a scene per episode, and, like, that's all they really do. Like, there's not really a big plot going on with Charlie. You know what I mean? She's looking for Dexter. She's trying to round him up. Obviously, her mother's in the hospital and stuff like that. But for how much they hyped up Uma Thurman, I'm starting to notice that she's not really all that involved like I thought she would be. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It was strange. And then, well, okay. Let's talk about the stupid shit this episode, because there is stupid shit in this episode that I just couldn't stand. Dexter goes on this helicopter ride, right, at the very end, and you're thinking, okay, after a long, draggy, fucking, really boring and slow episode, we're finally gonna get somewhere. Well, at the end of the episode, they go on this helicopter ride, and right before they get in, you've got Dexter that comes in and say, oh, we got room for one more. The car pulls up to the helicopter before it takes off. And then you find out the Gemini Killer has a fucking twin brother. What? Like, what? Like, I don't understand. Like, apparently the Gemini Killer this entire time had a fucking twin brother. I don't know what kind of stupid shit they're on for this one. I really don't understand it. But apparently he's got a twin brother, evidently.
Well, whoever buys that's a fucking idiot.
So I guess apparently the Gemini Killer is still around, quote unquote. He's still kicking. And at the end of the episode, Dexter's like, oh shit, he's got a twin brother. The Gemini Killers. Oh my god, man. That is one of the stupidest twists I've ever seen on Dexter. That felt like some Scott Buck type shit to me, okay? I'm gonna be honest, like, and I feel like I'm gonna be alone in that opinion. That's fine. That's a fucking stupid twist. I cannot stand that twist, and I'll tell you why I can't stand that twist. Why the hell was this not established before? You cannot tell me that Leon would not mention, oh yeah, by the way, that Gemini Killer, yeah, he's got a twin brother, you know what I mean? And then you could also pull the angle, well, Dan, actually, wait a minute, though. Maybe, like, Leon doesn't know that he has a twin brother. Maybe, like, he just thinks it's one dude, right? You could say that excuse. Well, if that's the case, Leon knows every fucking thing about everybody. You know what I mean? He knows everything about everybody. He digs deep and gets Charlie to literally do research on every little thing about them. So, and then you may say, well, okay, wait a minute, though. So maybe, this is another thing just like the Red situation where it's like, oh, yeah, Leon just doesn't know. He doesn't know he has a twin brother. Well, then that's fucking stupid because, what does that mean? Leon just sucks at his job? You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't think so because it seems like Leon's pretty freaking level-headed to me, you know what I mean? So, either one of two things is going on. Either Leon's fucking stupid, or this guy's just a really good liar, you know what I mean? Because either way, the Gemini killer is dead, right? He killed him in his bathtub. So when I saw the fucking twins show up, like, honestly, I've seen shit like this in cartoons. I've seen shit like this in fucking a lot of things. It is so goofy to me when they just use the same actor and bring them back as a twin. I've seen it done in a lot of media before, and it never works. Now, had you have established the Gemini killers, with an S, together as a duo of brothers, twin brothers, that kill each other, that kill, other people and stuff, and you introduce this idea of twin brothers out there killing, people as a ritual that they do together or separately, maybe they compete and stuff like that. If you would have brought that idea up, I think I would have been all for this, admittedly. The reason I don't like this is because you hyped up the Gemini killer for so many weeks saying, oh my god, the Gemini killer, and now they're going to try to put this spin on it. Well, it's like, oh, but it is, and it's like, no, man, what are you doing? Like, seriously, I hate that. You should have established the brothers as an existing thing while they were on the show. You can clearly tell this was their lazy way of just saying, well, we're not going to do all this editing to go out of our way, so let's just use one character first and then bring the actor back like 20 minutes later for the same character. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. It was not a brilliant twist or anything. It admittedly sucked. It kind of pulled me out of the episode, admittedly. And I thought it was absolutely it was dumb. It was absolutely fucking stupid. And you want to talk about fucking stupid? Let's talk about something else fucking stupid. Well, Mia at the end, right? Mia, what's going to happen with her? Well, she dies off screen. She dies off screen. So, Christian Ritter, man, I gotta say, I feel bad for her, man. This is not what I wanted from her on this show at all. I didn't like the twist last week, as y'all know. And I do not like the fact that they took her character this episode and killed her off screen. You know what I mean? Charlie just goes and rescues some freaking drunk old man at some fucking place and just brings him in to play this cop to conveniently kill Mia, right? And Mia ends up just being dead at the end of the episode. And I like you got like the rope burns like deep in her neck and shit. And she's like literally blue as shit. She's dead. And someone literally goes up to her. It's like, do I have a pulse? I'm like, the fucking hell? You got a fucking pulse? You got a fucking brain too while you're at it? Like, the fuck? Of course she's fucking dead. Like, the fucking logic is ridiculous here. I don't understand the logic. Like, oh no, do I have a pulse? But meanwhile, she fucking blue in the face. Fucking rope burns around her. Her head's fucking almost half off. Like, yeah, sure, you're gonna get a fucking pulse from that shit. Like, seriously, man, I don't know. Listen, I have to say, in the history of Dexter from, obviously the new stuff at least, this is the weakest episode I've seen, okay? And I was watching it with a few buddies of mine, and they even were saying the same thing. They were like, this is a really, really whack episode. And I was like, yeah, I know it is. I don't know. I like Batista, which the best scene of the episode was Batista, fucking the sneak peek that they shared. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what? Don't share your best scene on a sneak peek. Like, seriously. The rest was just dreadful, lengthy dialogue with an overhyped villain like Gemini Killer that didn't go anywhere. And then you pull this brother twist, which makes just the whole situation feel weird, because it's like, why didn't we find out about this before if you were going to do a storyline like that? It makes Leon look odd. It makes Charlie look odd. It's just weird. Like, I don't understand it. And then Mia's off-screen death, I don't know, man. This episode did not vibe with me at all. I would honestly say this is the weakest Dexter episode I've seen since like the Scott Buck stuff, admittedly. It wouldn't even surprise me if he wrote this episode, because it has that feel to it, you know what I mean? So, you guys know me. I'm always brutally honest. I know I have a feeling I'm going to be the odd man out on this one. I feel like people are already going to love this episode. They're going to say the twist is brilliant. I don't. From a writing standpoint, I don't think it was well told. I don't think it was well executed. I think they're spending way too much time on Claudette. Listen, Claudette's good, but there is way too much screen time going on with her, and not enough screen time for our La Passion buddy over here. You know what I mean? And I know he's probably going to get more screen time, but I'm getting sick and tired of him being shoved for one scene, and then he's never in the fucking episode. Like, it's ridiculous. So, I don't know. The episode kind of drove me nuts in some areas. I got a 5 out of 10. I'm trying to be nice. I'll go a 5. It's average episode type of shit. I really think they should have improved on the Gemini killer. They really overhyped his character. I want more Leon. Batista's getting really, really underused in episode 3. 5, now 6. Honestly, for a season that advertised Batista, I expected him to be a little bit bigger than this. So anyway, that is my overall thoughts on episode 6. Cats and Mouse instead of Cat and Mouse. That's a fucking stupid title. They know what they're doing because the twin brother thing, you know what I mean? Listen, I love Dexter, you know what I mean? This is just a bad episode in the rough here. I'm sure next week will be great again, you know what I mean? But I will say, though, I expect a better quality episode next week because I've enjoyed this season a lot, you know what I mean? And I still do. I thought this episode was a little lackluster, kind of sucky at times, and boring, to be fully honest. So, this thing was 58 minutes, and it felt like we could have trimmed out like 30 minutes. So, I don't know. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, guys, and you enjoy videos like this, make sure, of course, to click to subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos. Make sure to follow me on Dan Interviews Official on Instagram, guys. And, of course, I'll see you guys really soon for more videos for Dexter Resurrection. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.
Born in the dark alleys, city of concrete. Dan's reviews blowing up, never taste defeat. Walking Dead dissected every plot twist beat. World gone mad, TV junkies hit a treat. Typing up scripts, marathon through the night. His opinions hit harder than a street fight scene. Every episode, brain sharper than a knife. He's the beacon of critique, shedding TV light.